Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 21 of the Scientology Chat Podcast. Sorry about the delay last weekend. I wound up having to get an entire new computer. I now have that. Everything's all set up and all moved over. Um, Long story short, I don't really know what happened. I was just using my computer like normal, and then um, like I guess the Windows itself, or the Windows Explorer, like the part of the operating system that displays the desktop and the start menu and the taskbar, like all of that apparently crashed. I didn't get like the blue screen of death or anything, but when everything froze, the only thing I could do was hard reset the computer. And when I did that, it basically like I had to run a recovery and basically start from scratch. And so instead, I still have my Windows computer. This is actually the second time that that's happened. But instead of recording the podcast on the Windows computer, I had a MacBook Pro. It was an older model, and so I wound up replacing that with something that I can actually that has the horsepower and the without without overheating, has the ability for me to do all of this and the editing and the uploading and stuff instead. So um, that was basically what happened. Was my computer decided to have a full-blown meltdown on me, and I lost everything. um, so yeah, that's why we missed our episode last week. Still trying to get everything together. Thank goodness all of the episodes are successfully updated and backed up through our web through the podcast service that I use. But that was if the episode that I was trying to make it so that it would be easier to be consistent, that when I have free time I could actually work and record more than one episode at a time, so I'd have something ready in advance if something comes up or something happens where I'm too busy to be able to record on my usual recording day. And so all of those were gone, every one of them. But live and let live. Things happen. um this is going to be a somewhat short episode. Even today, I only finally got everything set up and ready to go after the entire setup process. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this because of all the hubbub going on around the United States with politics and the presidential election. So I wanted to talk. I've talked about it a little bit in passing in previous episodes, but I really wanted to take a minute to have a bit of a deep dive in to Scientology and politics. Because it seems like, well, in general, if you're a Republican, anything you don't like is associated with Democrats, and if you're a Democrat, anything you don't like is associated with Republicans. So people in general do not like the Church of Scientology. So if you ask a Republican, what political party would you imagine the Church of Scientology is associated with, they would say something to the effect of, well, they're those California liberals all from Los Angeles, so of course they're out there supporting the Democrats. And if you ask a Republican or ask a Democrat, they'll say, oh, they're a bunch of tax evasion, rich people, a bunch of Republicans out there, big Trump supporters, and all that. And so, just like every religion, first and foremost, the actual structural Church of Scientology, like the IAS and the organization headed by David Miscavige, I personally think that they would be very happy either way, so long as whichever president of whichever party left them alone. Um, I don't know David Miscavige's personal political leanings, and frankly, I don't think I personally do not think any rich person in the United States of America actually has any political ideology whatsoever other than I am rich, I want you to make me more rich. But uh, I am a very liberal person. I would go so far as to say that I am virtually to the point of a communist. I personally do. That would be my own political leanings. Ideologically, I align far more in the United States with the Green Party, and even that's not really all the way. But um, in the Church of Scientologists, to give you some bigger names, like Kirstie Alley, she was a Trump supporter. But then you go to the other side and you have John Travolta, who is a Democrat supporter. Tom Cruise, I'm sure, has given money to both. They probably all gave money to both, to be honest. Trump himself gave money to both because they're rich people and they don't give a shit about policies other than money. But if you were going to draw it down to those big name Scientologists, they are clearly on both sides. And when you get down to individuals and in individual orgs, of the Church of Scientology would not be able to tell its members, and I had like, there, you need to vote for this candidate or this political party. We're not evangelical Christians. We don't do that shit. So like, I'll give you another example. I show up when I would go to the Ideal Org in Salt Lake. I show up, I've got a Prius, which in and of itself has connotations, but I had it because I was a DoorDash driver. But the fact remains, I had a Prius with like my Canadian flag sticker on the back window, very liberal, walking in there with like my makeup on, got my hair done, and I'm trying to look nice. To be clear, trying to look nice, not trying to look like any gender or any of that dumb shit. When I get ready in the morning, my only objective is to not be ugly. I wear makeup not to look like anything or anybody. I wear makeup to cover up imperfections and, again, to try my best to not look ugly. So, I would look like that, show up, and the person parked next to me who was in there taking a course in the course room with me at the same time. They were there and they had bumper stickers all over the back of their car about, don't tread on me, come try to take my guns, make America great again, all of that. So, whatever your political ideology is, that's a conversation we can have outside of the religion. And I think that that is a very well understood concept in the Church of Scientology. So, the idea that Scientologists as a group identify or are aligned with one party over another is, I mean, the Church of Scientology's Operation Snow White, where they infiltrated the federal government, happened under two different peoples, that actually possibly even three. I'm for sure two, but I think three. Two different presidential administrations, one of whom was a Democrat and the other was a Republican. So, there is not exactly any love lost between the Church of Scientology and the American government, regardless of which political party is in charge of it, convincing people that they are different. When it comes down to individual political issues, even that is open to the same kind of, if it's true, it's only true if it's true for you interpretation. I told this story when I took my original, my very first auditor's class, the Hubbard Professional Auditors course. When I was doing that, and it's also in the Dianetics extension course as well. L. Ron Hubbard specifically talks about prenatal memories and early ingrams being related to abortions. He personally, obviously, was very against abortions, which, a white guy in the 50s Yeah, I can't imagine why he would feel that way, but I mean, we talk about how people are a product of their environment, and the tone scale that they're at is represented by the people they surround themselves with. Well, that is obviously the case with your with your political views and what you are brought up in a society to believe as well. Um, I personally don't think that being a product of your environment is an excuse to not learn and grow as a person, but I can definitely see how it is a big handicap to being willing to take those steps. So, um, abortion. There are many Scientologists who would be on L. Ron Hubbard's side, where he says that abortion, it damages the mind of the unborn child, especially if the abortion fails. Even if it succeeds, if there's a phaeton attached to the body that is growing in the womb and that body is killed, that creates a past life engram that will need to be worked in the next cycle. But then on the other side, you have it from my point of view, and I would say many Scientologists agreed with this. My case supervisor, I wrote, like I said when I last told this story, in my course, I wrote when he asked about abortion that I thought that what L. Ron Hubbard was saying was wrong, and that the mental health and the clarity and ideal state of the mother and father who have, in whatever case, who have to go through the emotional trauma of whatever leads them to have that abortion in the first place is more important in the here and now than what will need to be done in the mental health case of the child. So I personally support a woman's right to choose. But that is not universal among Scientologists. And that was a case of a frank discussion where if the case supervisor wanted to be a douche, they could have said that my answer was wrong because I explicitly disagreed with how L. Ron Hubbard interpreted Dianetics. But they didn't. I still got I got that question and the rest of that course done. There are other examples. Gay marriage. This is one of the dumbest ones. So if you look up Scientology on Wikipedia, which, what a wonderful place to find yourself if you want to have an uplifting day, is to look up all the crap that you'll read about Scientology on Wikipedia sometimes. But if you look up some of the scandals, when the Prop 8, I think it was, in California, when they went to overturn gay marriage, they talk about how there was a specific ideal org in California that was donating to the campaign to overturn Prop 8. Not the IAS, not the entire organization, just one specific ideal org in one city that was apparently donating money to overturn gay marriage or to block gay marriage or something. And everybody was saying, see, Scientologists hate the gays. Well, let me tell you two things about that. First, no ideal org is going to be able to do something like that without the explicit permission of the IAS and the board and the chairman of the board. That is especially something that would generate that kind of publicity. There is no fucking way that the IAS and the chairman and the RTC would have let that happen. They would have had to ask for permission to do that, and they would have been told no. And how do you know that? Well, the Church of Scientology has multiple churches all across Southern California in particular, multiple ideal orgs. The idea that they were representing all of the Church of Scientology, but it was only one of the orgs, is even dumber. So the Church of Scientology itself tries its best to stay out of the limelight for anything like that. Like we talked about before, all publicity is good publicity, but not if you're the Church of Scientology, and they are well aware of that. So to walk foot first into that kind of wildfire with all of the political commentary and the spotlight that had been shown on that debate in the state of California, there is no way, that's not true. That did not happen. I can say with 100% certainty that story is bullshit. I also know from personal experience, like being a gay person who went to the Church of Scientology, individual opinions vary dramatically, but like we previously discussed, there is that policy letter that if a member of the Church of Scientology does anything to interfere or make you feel like you can't continue with your own studies, the offending party cannot continue with their studies until they make restitution to you, which is an awfully hard sell given the number of gay people who are in the Church of Scientology, and given that Southern California is the highest density of them, for an ideal org with permission from the IAS and the RTC and the chairman of the board to be out there publicly supporting something that is going to break that exact rule. So, no, I don't buy that. Opinions vary internally, but as a religion, if you are a gay Scientologist, you can get married in a Church of Scientology. Let's see, what else do we have here? Trying to think of other in particular topics of that would qualify for the way that the Church of Scientology. I mean, you can get the gist of the whole thing. I personally can't think of, other than freedom of religion, which is a self-serving interest for all faiths. I can't think of a single thing that the Church of Scientology as an organization directs its members to have an opinion on. That's not something that happens. It would be counterintuitive from an organizational standpoint in the first place, especially because people will disagree with you, and it's going to create an environment that is not conducive to the whole point of studying the tech in the first place. But also, it just makes no sense from the standpoint of the church when the entire body of the religion is made up of people with such dramatically different backgrounds and how they interpret the materials, where they're at on the bridge. That whole concept of the Church of Scientology having the ability to enforce or push its members to act as a unified voting bloc is insane. If it's something local and it's a direct threat to the church, then that will happen. Like if a city council is trying to block a Church of Scientology from being built for no other reason than that it is a Church of Scientology, then they will organize people like that. But it's not going to happen on a grand scale outside of directly protecting the church itself. So thank you so much for being here with me today and doing this episode. I apologize that this is a shorter episode than usual again. Everything will be back to normal again. I mean, God knows how many times I've said that so far, but it's been a cavalcade of interesting events, and at least I hope every time you come in here and I have something to tell you about, it can make you think, all of our conversations that we've had and the back and forth that we get makes the day seem a little less bad, because things could always be worse. Also, we still have some stickers left. Gave away a couple. We have a few people. We're giving away a couple of them too. If you want one of the free stickers, they are really nice. They have the logo on them. They're just normal white round stickers. Send an email, scientologychat@gmail.com. You can also go to the scientologychat.podbean.com, where it's all there, all the contact info's there, blah, blah, blah. And if you have any questions, anything you want to know the answer to, anything you want to talk about, feel free to reach out there. And I will be back next Thursday, sorry. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you then.